Hello and welcome. You're viewing the Citizens Journalist podcast, Mesa County Compass, that brings you the news that you can use from a different point of view. I'm Ruth.
I'm Lisa.
And together we are Mesa County Compass. Our goal is to create an informed, current, active citizenry armed with the facts. We will be covering what's new to you, what it means to you, what you can do about it, and provide you access to the decision makers when we can. Good afternoon. We're here with Mesa County Compass, and this afternoon we have two gentlemen from Turning Point USA. We have James, who is the president of Turning Point, and we have Jess, who is the secretary of Turning Point. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you for having us.
You're very welcome. And before we get started to go on with what we need to go on with, give us a little bit of background about yourselves, each of you.
Sure. So I'm James Freeman. I'm the president this year of Turning Point USA at Colorado Mesa University. I'm studying energy and land management. Originally from Rifle, spent a lot of time on the Front Range in high school. Family reluctantly took me over there, but now I'm back, and I'm happy to be on the good side of the state fighting for conservative values.
Good.
My name is Jess Clark Scott. I'm going on junior year of my political science degree here at CMU. I've lived in Colorado my whole life on the western slope. I was born here, raised here. I have family scattered across all states. I've spent a lot of time in western Nevada, around the Reno area, and then around Omaha, Nebraska, in some smaller cities out there. So I've seen a wide range of political views, especially with Reno.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what made you guys want to get involved with Turning Point, and what sort of a difference do you think that Turning Point can make at CMU and in the Valley, across the state, nation?
She asks 4 questions at a time, so
I do. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of there's kind of one answer to that, and I've seen the Turning Point debate videos since I was a little kid. I saw the basic Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, Tucker Carlson debates across the last decade. And so I've wanted to be involved to some degree for a super, big portion of my adult life. I was the national executive director of the high school Republicans when I was in high school. I've been on quite a few campaigns, and this was just the natural progression. I knew as soon as I was going to get to school, I was going to be involved in Turning Point in some way. And I wasn't super involved with it until about this year when I was asked to step into the role as president.
Great.
For me, I was not as involved as he is. He's got a lot more campaign experience. But after the death of Charlie Kirk, my friend Logan Yoakum, who's our vice president, he was involved with Turning Point before I was, and he invited me down to one of the Charlie Kirk vigils that we held, and just seeing the outpouring of support from the community and how we were all able to come together, it was. I knew I had to get involved, and so I did, and I think we've hit the ground running. We did pretty amazing work with the time we had with the school board race. I think we did everything we really could there. Knocked
1,305 doors in 3 events.
Yep.
Excellent.
That
Excellent.
is amazing.
You guys just did wonderful. We were so pleased to have you aboard.
And how were you received when you were door knocking, did you think, by the people that answered? I know we were door knocking too, and a lot of people don't answer, but...
Well, we had a list of mostly friendly doors because that was what the campaign was targeting. So it was majority, I would say, are happy to receive the information. And that's really the way it goes. So I think a lot of people get discouraged about wanting to be involved on the ground because they think that it's dangerous, which it can be. It can be dangerous. But they think that people are going to yell at them and chase them off their front porch. But it's really the opposite here in Mesa County. And if we don't get the information out there, people aren't going to vote. And that's how we see the results of, last Tuesday or whatever it was. So.
So what plans do you have? I know that you did another event, and that was with Cindy Ficklund and Mark McAllister.
Yeah.
Mind like a steel trap. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out. So that was like a bigger event for you guys. What did you think? Did that help propel the momentum? Or
I think so. We raised a lot of money during that event, and that's been able to really propel us forward. It's kind of bittersweet, but Turning Point USA nationally is super dry on all their resources because they have so many people looking to start chapters. So getting that extra funding was really important to us to help provide those resources to our students when they're out tabling and things like that. Long term, I want to do more events like that. I've talked to our area representatives from Turning Point USA, and we're one of the more high-performing schools in the region, so we might be on the spring Turning Point tour. I can't make any determinations on that because they have to make the final say, but it's looking good that we could have a national speaker here, like a Tucker, you know,
Wow.
one of those
that
people.
would be
It'd be really
super
interesting,
exciting.
right? Uh-huh.
I would like to help be involved with something like that.
It would be
because that
amazing.
just-
It'd be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And
So,
it just goes to show the sorry.
Oh, no, go.
The massive turnaround, because I mean last year we had 4 members. We weren't even on the map, and now we have a really good shot. And you know we don't want to.
Don't jinx
Yeah,
it, right?
yeah, I don't want to jinx it, but we have a fairly good shot of being on the spring tour, and I think that just goes to show how awesome the community has been with supporting us.
And it will be great for CMU too, because CMU's kind of had this reputation of being a moderate political school, and showing that we can successfully hold an event of that size with nationwide attention will help the university, because it will show students that are worried about political discrimination on campus that CMU is not a school that discriminates to a high degree. I mean, I know people have experienced it there, but it's nothing like a Berkeley where we've seen violence last week.
Right.
And I think that that'll be great for the school. So
Yeah.
it's not just about advancing conservative values, it's also about growing the university, and everything that we do works with that. So
Well, you think growing the university helps grow the city. So it's all kind of hand in hand.
Exactly.
And we all need to tie in together to help Turning Point USA with this project if it comes to fruition.
absolutely.
or
Very-
even laying the groundwork for it.
Right.
So what have you found is the response of the students in terms of wanting to attend, being willing to give you a shot and look at you?
It's been very, very good, very overwhelmingly positive. And the issue, I think the biggest issue we've had to run into in the past is yet the association with our past events that were done on campus by individuals that were in Turning Point brought a little bit of stigma to Turning Point as well. And overall, it's been positive, but people have this mental block, I would say. That's what I experienced the most on tabling, is that there's very conservative members of campus that just don't want to get involved. So that I would say, aside from maybe like 1 or 2 hecklers,
Yeah. I mean,
one or the average heckler, but it's nothing extreme. But overall, it's been very positive. It's just turning that positivity into action is kind of where we need to focus on.
This is the line that I hear like almost every Wednesday when we do the tabling. Oh, I love what you guys are doing, but I'm just really not that political.
Yep.
Well, I mean, it affects you too, you got to get involved at some degree, but you can't, drag people into the meeting room by their legs either. So
I don't know.
Yeah.
Screaming and kicking, we try all the time. And we have run into the same thing, so guys, don't feel like you're the Lone Ranger here.
Yes.
We have the same problem with our peer group. It's just, it's crazy. They don't seem to realize that it affects them.
It does, all the ways. So talk to me about what is tabling and Wednesdays that you're tabling. Where do you do that and what does that do?
So we do that in the University Center, and that's just, we usually have a question about a topic that's in the news. This week we did one on gun control, and we just try to have those conversations with people. It is alarming how many people are uneducated on virtually everything. But the people that are educated, we do have really good conversations with them. Even people that are in the disagreement category, they're still usually intelligent and respectful when it comes to these conversations. And I think that we're better off compared to a lot of other universities. I've talked to people at CSU, and they get people that are throwing stuff at them.
Oh,
and it's
my.
Oh, Marcy.
loud. We haven't had that issue.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Never say
There
never.
could be
but-
somebody, but
Yeah. Oh, that is a neat way to do that. And so you table on Wednesdays. When do you have meetings for the group?
usually Thursdays.
Okay.
And most of the time those are just exclusive to students, but next week we are hosting State Senator Janice Rich for a legislative town hall with the students, and that is open to the public. So we're happy to share that information with you guys as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, very good. would, I would think, attract more students as well to have
Yeah.
somebody like that in. So,
Yeah. Because, I mean, everything that, even if you're not a Colorado resident, you're still going to get affected here because every single mandate that comes through the state government is harming Mesa County, I would say, because we have to deal with those unfunded mandates and it causes us a lot of issues here. So everything that happens there affects us.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, we have water issues and with Mesa State, you know, not Mesa State, CMU, we had Scott McGinnis on, and, you know, I know water's important, and I'm very pro-water, but didn't know much about it, and there's the water lady. And when he came on, because I was like, why is CMU getting involved in giving $1 million toward the Shoshone Water Project? I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. That money should be used somewhere else. And then he explained what we would lose if that didn't happen, and that they only went to municipalities and universities to get the funding for this that they need $99 million for. So it was really interesting. But you're right, most people don't know the issues. They don't know what's impacting them, and
They don't. And I mean, CMU has a huge stake in the water issue because of how much they use. I mean, I would argue that they maybe shouldn't be using as much water in the landscaping operation. I mean, they have the sprinklers on every single day, even in the summer. And I would say that that's probably a misuse of water in a desert when we are missing a big chunk of our water rights to lower basin states. But they do have a stake in it, and that affects everybody else in the valley. So if we retain more of those water rights, it's not just going to help them, it's going to help us.
oh, absolutely.
absolutely.
And you should listen to ours on Scott, because he would argue with you with watering. he would say that we need that, and that's what helps us to maintain the level that we have. We don't want to be an urban heat
That's true.
map.
And I agree. I would say that using, high amounts of water for agricultural use is definitely something that I support. But for, grass, it's not as important, in my opinion, for something that, like a field that's not getting used during the summer. Doesn't make a lot of sense. But I won't get too much into that issue.
No,
so.
that's
Yeah.
fine. See, that would be a great table issue for people to argue back and forth about. So what are most of your table issues involved with?
Well, we've talked about the ceasefire in Israel and talked about gun control. We've done approval on the president. We've done everything under the sun in the last, month and a half about. It's almost like we're going to have to start recycling the issues because, we could get into energy policy, but then nobody knows anything about energy policy.
Tax policy.
Tax policy. You got to pick things that are going to spark a conversation, but also aren't something that nobody knows anything about.
You need to pick things that affect the kids.
Yes, exactly.
I won't say kids. I correct myself. The youth.
Right.
Yes. So what did you think about the recent where they said Durango couldn't have a turning point on campus and then had to turn around and say, yes, they can? What do you think of the student government doing that there?
Well, I talked to, I think his name's Jonah, a good week and a half ago when they first denied it and asked if we could do anything. We were going to put a letter out with all of the chapter presidents, and then Turning Point said, hold on, we got something moving here. And then they got the student government to flip because it's political discrimination and they can lose their nonprofit status by doing that. So, and there was a lot of pressure. I know Jeff Hurd pressured them. I know all the congressional delegation here was having a big problem with that. So it's really despicable that they're allowed to, discourage
To challenge
participation.
them
I mean, they're allowing Democrat participation. I have friends that go there. They've got leftist groups. They've got, the Gay Student Union or whatever it's called down there. And why can't Turning Point be there? That's the parallel to those views. If you can't have a discussion on your campus, then you're not a college. You're just a think tank, right?
I like that.
Yeah, that's really good. So how are you trying to encourage students to be more involved?
It's
Recruit
just,
them, I guess.
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the core thing we need to push is just meet times and tabling and just getting the information out there. Because as we've stated before, a lot of people don't know we have a Turning Point on campus. And so right now I would say we're doing a pretty good job of networking and kind of branching out and getting our new members to bring new members and their new members to bring new members, and just spreading the news. We had a luncheon with the Mesa County Republican Women. That was Tuesday? Was that last?
I think it was last Monday.
Yeah, it was Monday. Yeah, Monday. You're right. And just getting involved with some of these other groups and getting just our messaging out there and our material out there, our weekly flyers, our tabling flyers, because we have a pretty good social media team. They're learning as we're going along, So
And it is a marathon, not a sprint. Like I would
Yeah.
say, it is working. More and more people are like starting to recognize me on campus, and I have no idea who they are.
Yep.
And it's like,
Ooh,
oh,
I know you.
yep.
I've had people that are like that'll come over to my house when my friends had people over. They're like, "Oh, I know who you are." I'm like, do you? Like, I don't know if that's a good thing, but then I realize it's because we're getting our message out there correctly. So I can't really
that
complain
is
about
really
it.
neat. So I'm going to give you a challenge. Okay, I am a student at Mesa, and I want you to try to convince me to join Turning Point. Why should I do that? And I'm just one of those regular. I'm not going to tell you I'm majoring in psychology, but So
Do I know
convince
that
me.
you're conservative or not?
You don't know what I am. You don't know
Okay.
me.
So let's say, for example, you come up to our tabling and we're talking about guns, because we talked about guns this week.
Okay.
So you come up and you say, I don't think that the Second Amendment is absolute. I think we should have some restrictions, but I don't agree with the broad sweeping assault weapon bans that we see in California and things like that. And I'd say, well, then you would have more agreements with us than you would with the state of Colorado and the Democratic Party. You should come to Turning Point USA and learn more about this issue, and we can have a conversation about it after.
Ah.
I think for me, I go at it from a different kind of angle. I would first ask if you love America, because I mean that is a core fundamental value of Turning Point, and honestly, on campus, it's a core fundamental value. I really haven't met anyone that has been like, no, I don't love America. So that's the first thing I'd ask is, do you love America? Do you love your country? The second thing I would ask would be, do you plan to have a family? Do you want to have a fulfilling life? Probably, hopefully yes. Hopefully yes. And then I would break down further what exactly Turning Point can do to make that happen. The values we support, the nuclear family, tax reductions, and I know it's stuff that like a lot of people don't know a lot about, but I feel like they could be swayed, especially now that most of the students on campus are working and paying taxes and seeing where their money is going. I think that is a really big winning issue.
And social media exposing all these issues is really important too, because honestly, the left tells on themselves all the time about how much they hate America and the nuclear family. So if you're opposed to that, yeah, you might disagree with us on some things. We might agree on others, but we agree about more things that are more important than we disagree about. Exactly. One of the tabling issues we did on the ceasefire and the Israel conflict, and I feel like most people have a general agreement that the Palestinian state is run by terrorists and the Israeli state is not running the war well, and they're being overly aggressive in the region. And we can make a agreement with these students that we should be focusing on the United States of America instead of entangling ourselves in conflicts with people that don't necessarily share our values.
Okay, now I've talked to you and I said, yeah, I agree with you. But, I'm involved in, I do work and classes and homework and, I do want to go out on weekends, and I think that you're going to want me to do something on the weekend probably. And so I just don't know if I have time.
I would say we only meet Thursdays at 5. It's one day a week. We may potentially move that to bi-weekly, just because we're running out of kind of things to talk about. But I would say that Turning Point is a very open organization to you and like what you want to bring to the table. If you can only make the meeting 1 hour a week, that's fine. If you can make tabling as well you don't have to be there because I mean it's 4 hours. You don't have to be there the whole time. Just if you can stop by 20, 30 minutes, listen to what everyone has to say, sharpen your kind of debate skills, I feel like you would get a lot out of this organization.
And it's an investment too. We have enough members at this point where it's not just a group of people that all agree on stuff. It's a networking group. And I've seen this from other chapters across the country. A lot of these people stay friends for decades, and they get jobs out of Turning Point USA. If not even just in the political movement, but people know each other after they've been in this organization. And it helps build a long-term infrastructure for conservatives, not just politically, but for, in the corporate world as well, because we can align our values in these companies.
And you see that a lot of times with fraternities, depending on what fraternity you've belonged to in college, that those people will network after college and say, yeah, I know somebody's got a job opening, and because your friend's, good point. Okay,
Right. Well, he can speak on that too.
Yeah, I'm in the Kappa Sigma fraternity on campus, and we have nationwide hundreds of thousands of members. So really anywhere, Mike Johnson, Speaker Johnson, is a member of a brother of Kappa Sigma, and Bob Dole was as well.
Okay.
And we have a lot of members in government and in really every field you could potentially go in, and hopefully we can get Turning Point to a level nationally that rivals that, or if not exceeds that.
And I would say that at some level it already does, because it's open to men and women.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so how does the college support you?
Two words.
don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
They I will say that they allow us to exist, and they haven't inhibited us in any way yet. And I won't try to diminish that relationship at all. I know that John Marshall is, not, against Turning Point USA by any means, and the club advisory board and student life, they haven't done anything to explicitly harm our operations. Do they support us? No.
Do they support any other of the groups, do you think?
Yes. Student government will give funding to other organizations. We have not received any student government funding, but we also haven't tried to lobby
Requested it?
for any.
Okay.
But they haven't gone out of, if we're running an event, they haven't gone out of the way to, offer us a grant, but that's not their job. But they do offer those grants to a lot of other groups. It's just, at some level, it's not worth us putting a month into a fight with student government to try to get $1,000. We could just go raise it somewhere else.
Yes,
So
yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. Ruth, I'm dominating again.
No,
Go for it.
that's fine. I'm trying to think here. I'm just thinking, what social media do you guys use to get out to everybody?
we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Facebook and Instagram are the biggest. I have enough stuff to run on Twitter. I can't run our Twitter as well. But
Right.
the Facebook is really good about getting out to the community. Like when we post public events like next Thursday, that's up on Facebook. Instagram is mostly used by our members and the students more broadly.
The student base is really accessible through Instagram. That's where we get most of our DMs and most of our engagement. I think we had something around 70,000 views
Yeah, 70,000
Wow, that
impressions
is
on
wonderful.
Instagram.
Nice.
just last month. So right now we have 38. So
Yeah, it's pretty solid for 2 weeks into November.
Yes, I would say so.
So we're reaching a lot of people, and there's not even that many people at Mesa. So I would say that almost everybody at CMU is familiar with the organization in some capacity. They might not know everything. So getting the values out there is what we're working on at the moment.
I was going to say, getting out there and having that many views, that many followers, that kind of thing, definitely puts your name out there and would potentially attract some other people to CMU if, in fact, they are interested in Turning Point.
Right, and
So
one of
I'd like to see that aspect of it kind of turn around.
One of the resources that Turning Point USA nationally offers is they have this thing called the Dean's List, and it will rank colleges based on how, I don't want to say accessible, but, how discriminatory they are towards conservatives. I think that's honestly the best way to put it. So, Berkeley gets an F-. I think
That's cute.
right now, I checked yesterday, right now Mesa has a B-. And, when these campus organizations grow and they actually make an impact on the university, that listing goes up. And it helps, high school kids look at that and say, hey, this is a school I might want to go to. Yeah.
Or their parents.
Their parents,
There you
yeah.
go.
That's
Parents,
a big one that I've seen, parents
Well, and
pick a school.
that also gives the political science department something to look at as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know Jason has said that one of the professors is very helpful for him in, just kind of guiding him through the process and encouraging him. As a whole, would you say the political science department supports Turning Point or supports the political organizations that are more conservative?
No.
It's mixed. I mean, we have good
You're
professors.
not in political science
I'm
department.
not. He is. I'm speaking more about the professors more broadly,
Yeah,
but
okay.
I would, I can't speak to this as much, but I would say that the poli-sci professors are not conservatives.
No, by no means. But are they inhibiting us? No. They're pretty involved with the other political organizations on campus. I'm totally blanking on the name. I think it's just called the Political Science Club. They're very active with them and very supportive of them, and they're not inherently non-supportive of us, but they more so just remain quiet, which is all right, because we had
Quiet is good.
And that's fine.
quiet is fine.
University isn't supposed to pick a side. It's
Right.
supposed to facilitate conversation.
Yes.
So when I said earlier that, they're not inhibiting our operations, that's kind of the preferable. I don't want them to be, it would be nice if they're helping us, but at the same time, I don't need them to because we have enough conservative students at Mesa that we can operate without the university trying to shove it down anybody's throats.
Yeah.
Do you think that will change if you get more students in that are more willing to listen to Turning Point?
I mean, it depends on how much we grow. Yeah, we're already one of the biggest organizations on campus, and I think that the university is watching that. So if we keep growing and they think that, maybe there's too much power, then they might have a problem with it, but I can't speak to that. I'm not the university. Yeah.
Well, you want your citizens to be involved. You want students to. I think sometimes students don't feel very empowered either. Like what I think doesn't make a difference, and the people that are old and conservative and in these different occupations and on these different boards, they are the ones with a say, and they don't think that anybody cares about what they think in the community. What do you think? This is an open table discussion right here.
Well, we do see that a lot. It's the same thing where it's like, oh, well, I agree with everything you guys are doing, but I'm not super political. I don't want to, get into that, lose any friends or anything like that. And, I haven't lost any friends. I've been in conservative politics for, quite a few years. I'm still able to have friends that are liberals. So, if you can't do that, then maybe that's something that you need to work out on your own, right? And that's something that we tell people is like, we're not trying to start a fight here by any means. We're trying to get people involved so that if there is a disagreement, we can have that disagreement without it being ugly.
Yes, yes.
I like that. Yeah.
And we need it all the way through the whole political spectrum, not just at the college and Turning Point.
Some adults could use that logic. Would be nice.
Yes. No, they could. And
I should say older adults. Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay.
I don't mean to put you down. I really don't.
I don't think that you are. You're good.
Yeah.
And Turning Point USA has been one of the most influential groups of the last decade. I would say that Trump wouldn't have won in 2024 if it wasn't for Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA because of how influential it has been in shaping the minds of the upcoming Gen Z conservative generation. So, and there's that on the left as well. Those groups have to exist. If you don't have that, then it's just going to be a stale version of politics where nothing changes and nothing gets any better.
It's just an echo chamber. I
Yeah.
mean, no new ideas. It's just the bouncing back and the bouncing around of the same ideas with nobody standing up to challenge them or no other ideas being even considered. And that's very dangerous.
And it
It
doesn't
is.
formulate any new ideas. Iron sharpens iron.
Right.
That's how you get those ideas. Well, I disagree with you, so I'm going to go prove myself right and come up with something new that you haven't thought of.
Exactly.
What else do you guys want to talk about?
This your guys' podcast. I'm
No.
happy to answer any
Yeah,
questions.
yeah.
Anything,
I mean,
everything.
it obviously the news of the election last week is interesting, and I'm curious to know your guys' thoughts. Where do you think that the state GOP and the conservative movement goes after last Tuesday? I have my own thoughts on it. I have other work that I do other than being in charge of Turning Point. So I have to look at the numbers all the time. And I'm curious, to know what you guys think, about your audience thinks about where do we go from here if those results are going to translate into a loss or a win next year.
You can go first, and then because
Yeah, you'd leave it to me to go first. You know how I think.
well, they don't.
They don't. No, that's true. They don't. They don't follow my Facebooks. That's kind of a good thing, I think. Anyway, I think right now our party is discouraged. I think the Republican Party is in shambles, and I think it needs to pull itself together by bootstraps and pay attention to what's going on, because if they don't get their act together, we're going to lose the governorship. And that, to me, is primary. We've got to have that.
That's true. And what do you think?
I think that we need to. I was shocked. You saw us out there pounding doors with you. I was shocked, even at the very last minute, how many people didn't know who was running, and didn't know anything about. I don't know if you guys have you ever seen 16 Candles, the movie?
I have not.
Oh,
no.
you're too young. There's this guy, and he'd been drunk, and he's laying on the grass, and he's from another country. His host family says, "Where's our automobile?" And he's laying there going, "Automobile?" I've never heard of an automobile. What's an automobile? That's how they are with elections, and I just think it's getting people to say, "Hey, what do you want?" And I think that the other side was a little bit more exciting. Whenever you have a controversy and you're coming in and saying, "This is controversial, these people are ruining it," and you have the other side saying, "This is what we've done, this is what we've done," that's not nearly as interesting.
Right, and I think that translates back to the 2024 race as well, because we had 4 years of Biden and Vice President Harris just destroying the country. So Trump could say, "Hey, compare that to my first term. My first term was pretty great. Put me back in and I'll make my first term happen again, but better." And I think, the Republican Party has been in shambles not just for the last year. It's been in shambles since Trump was elected. I don't think that's Trump's fault. I think it's that Trump brought us in a new direction. And I would consider myself to be in that part of that new movement of people that align more of the America First dichotomy. And I think that there's a part of the party that doesn't want to see that change. So there's been infighting for the last decade. And that's not going to stop until we realize that, just like in 2020, if we don't put that aside, we're going to have Biden again. And in Colorado, if we don't put that aside, we're going to have whoever's Polis' successor. Jenna Griswold as Attorney General would be a disaster. She doesn't even know how to run the Secretary of State's office. So, we have to put that aside. And I think that it is winnable. There was a Forbes article a few weeks ago that showed that we do have the ability to flip a lot of these key state legislative seats. And if we flip those, that means we are going to get more and more top ballot votes, and it will go down ballot from there. My other side project that I do is I run a political action committee called Colorado First Action, and we were involved in the Douglas County School Board race. And we weren't even able to make a flip there, and the campaign plus us knocked 57,000 doors in 3 months, or whatever it is.
Just people that ignore the off-year elections.
They do.
It's just totally wipes my brain away to think that they would just blow it off.
And I'm less
Unimportant.
concerned about the school board and more concerned about the ballot measures, because
Exactly.
the fact that Mesa County voted for both of the ballot measures this year, and it's very blatantly liberal language in the ballot measures. So either people don't read into that and see that, oh, this is obviously being pushed by the left. And I would say that most people probably don't. But if they do and they still voted for it, it shows that Mesa County is shifting away from that basin of right-wing support, and it's starting to go into the left side. And I think that we need to start making gains on that before
I
we lose
think
it.
there is an issue with the way the ballot issues are worded too, because I think that is language that covers up what's actually going on. And people do not understand it.
No, they don't.
They absolutely do not know. Well, they ask me, well, how do you vote? Well, I can't tell them how. I can tell them how I vote, but I can't tell them how to vote.
Right.
And how do you explain to them what is going on? And I've spent a lot of time doing that, but not enough, apparently.
Well, I vote no on almost every ballot issue that comes out, because most of the time they're written by, they say it's written by an independent commission. That office is not independent. There are no right-wing voices from that and that's fine. It doesn't have to be a right-wing but it has to be fair. And these ballot measures are not being written by fair people. So they get, petitioned on, or they get passed by the legislature, and then when they actually get written onto the ballot, it still gets changed. So the intent might be there to do something good with it, but the state government will always take it and screw it up.
Well, and they don't tell you what the real cost is.
No, they don't.
There's no fiscal information in there. That's really good stuff that you're talking about. When we look at the Republican Party too, is we oftentimes have a circular firing squad, and that's a problem too. I understand how they do it, and I think that it's because Republicans want to have independent thought, and the Democrats say, okay, this is who we're choosing for our candidate. We're not going to waste money in the primaries getting that person up for the general election. We're going to just say, okay, look at who we have. You're going to be the best. We're putting you on,
It's a
and there's
lockstep.
really no
Yep.
And
discussion involved in that.
That's one of the great things about the Republican Party is that we are, not a block. There's different factions of the GOP that will dominate in each primary depending on where they are. And I think that that's a good thing, but we need to not, try and kill each other over it. Like in 2022, for example, with the O'Day versus Ron Hanks primary, I don't necessarily think either of those two would have been the best candidate. And they just destroyed each other. So you had voters in the Republican Party that wouldn't vote for the nominee because the primary was so harsh. And
I agree with that. Yep.
they just destroyed Joe O'Day's character. So all the people that voted for Ron Hanks, and you can't blame them for this, because O'Day destroyed Hanks' character at the same time, they didn't get out and vote because they were discouraged from having a primary that they saw was against them. And I think that happened in 2016 to the Democrats too, when they basically stole the nomination from Bernie Sanders and gave it to Hillary Clinton. I think that kept a lot of Democrats home.
Especially in the Rust Belt.
Yeah, especially in the Rust Belt.
Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. That's may have been the deciding factor there.
And see, this is what I would think, that when you have college-age students, they're so idealistic, and they do have opinions. And so what better way to get involved than to come together and discuss your opinions and come to a conclusion and then act on what you believe.
Right. And I mean, we're definitely different than most college kids out there. I would say that I'm definitely, idealistic, and I have my thoughts about how the world works, and he does as well. And a lot of people that are very involved and are always out doing stuff have their quote-unquote ideology. And then most people are still trying to decide what that is. And that's what's really important. You need to know, what do you actually think? And how are you going to know what you think if you don't talk about it? If you just say, oh, well, it doesn't even affect me anyway, so there's no point in even thinking about it, then you're not going to figure out what you believe. So.
And I will say an issue, I don't know how much you guys will agree with this. I think there'll be some agreement that a lot of issues I see, local, state, and federal, with the Republican Party, is lack of messaging, lack of concise messaging. The issue that I think, I'm going to skew off topic just a little bit, but in 2026, I think I would say where we have our focus on, right? The 2026, the midterms and the governorship and whatnot. An issue I see arising is the Republican Party, with Trump at the head of the party, doesn't give Republicans enough to campaign on, and gives Democrats a lot to campaign on themselves. Because you got to admit, Trump is a very polarizing figure at the head of the party.
Absolutely.
Yes,
He gets people out to vote. A lot of the time, it's a lot of the opposition. And in 2020, we did see that, along with some other things we saw. But in 2024, you just saw the messaging was on point. The Republican Party had a really good message with the economy. They had a plan for immigration. I'm just not seeing that being translated down into the lower levels, because we oppose Polis, but where? Like where? That's something I think the party needs to work on and needs to kind of think more in depth about that, and just get ahead of the curve and decide what kind of campaign we're going to run.
And I would
that's
say I
excellent.
oppose Polis on
Excellent.
everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you
you gotta
can't
break
get
it
up there.
down. You gotta
You
break
can't
it
get up
down.
there and say, "Oh, I just can't stand Polis." You got to go into exactly what. But at some
Right.
level, all the
Why?
things that he's done that have destroyed the state of Colorado and everything that the Democrat-run legislature has done is really hard to explain to the average voter. That's the other part of it. You know, I think one of the things that we need to be campaigning on is the wolf issue, because that's easy to explain to people. It's like, yep, the city of Denver basically decided this ballot measure for the entire state, and it's destroying your agricultural production, and it's killing your pets, and it's killing your kids. And
Driving up the cost.
it's
of
driving
food.
up cost of living. It's driving up cost of food. That's something that we could campaign on. This is just an example. That's emotional. That's something that the Democrats do. And yeah, we want to be based on the facts. But you have to appeal to people's emotions. Otherwise, they're just going to say,
To
oh, this
move
is
them.
happening.
To
Yeah.
Move them, yes.
Because
off against them.
intellectually, we might have this like in the olden days where we're all smoking our pipes and just discussing after dinner, and then
Yeah.
that's it. We just discuss and we move on.
And nobody does that anymore.
Yes.
So you have to appeal to, oh, okay, this is going to affect you because your cattle are going to die to these wolves because people in Denver decided that there should be wolves in your backyard. So you still want to vote for Brittany Peterson? No.
Yeah.
Vote for the guy who's going to get rid of the wolves
Yeah.
or something like that. I know
Yeah.
that's a state issue, but you know, you
Well,
need
that's
to.
what you want when you're talking about these lower level elections.
Exactly.
And I think you're exactly right that everything. Well, one, what I see the Republicans do is they give you so much information, and it's not written in a way people lose it after about a paragraph,
Yep.
and they quit reading.
Yep.
And so you're right. You have to have it be concise. This is the problem. Maybe bullet points or something, but not blah 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 blah.
And that's what the Trump campaign was good at. It's we have
Extremely.
this many illegal immigrants have been in the country in 4 years. Here's our plan to, you know, fix that problem. Or we have this much inflation, we're going to do this. Or we're just going to get rid of inflation or something. You know, you just have to be basic about it and say, and then on the debate stage, go into the details. Or something like in,
Yes.
in an opportunity where you have people's attention to make a long form explanation. You can't do that, you know, on a paragraph on Twitter or something.
No.
You need to be smart about how you do it. And I don't think that a lot of these candidates have been very smart about how they do that. Trump was, and then the problem that we are now running into is that none of the things that he's promised Congress can deliver.
Yep. And that starts the death cycle.
Yep.
What I view as the Republican death cycle. Lack of legislation fuels unpopularity, which then fuels lack of legislation. And it's just an endless loop.
It is an endless loop, exactly.
And that's what we need, you having a voice, and especially in the Republican Party being treated as an equal, because I do think how I've seen you treated is let us tell you how things are done, not let you come in and say, hey, I have an idea and I'm on equal footing. My ideas are this, and let me show you why.
Yeah.
And I think it's so exciting to listen to you guys be passionate about what you're talking about. I mean, I listen to the other side, the old folks, if you will, and they just go on and on and on and on, same old, same old. I like listening to you guys because there's hope. There's actual hope there, and your ideas are good, and we need to get them forward to the other people. And that, to me, is what we need in the Republican Party. We need youth.
And your values are solid for
Yes.
what will help people actually thrive and just be happier and fulfilled.
Well, we've seen the opposite of it. I mean, I was born in 2006. So, you know, I wasn't around during I would say the peak of American civilization in, you know, 80s and 90s. I've only seen the decline. And so I know what is done wrong, and I've seen what's done right, and then we can put a modern spin on what's done right to make it work for the situation that we're in now. You know, I don't think going back to like, you know, Reaganite foreign and economic policy is going to fix anything.
No.
But if we look at the values and then you put a different spin on the boring policy side of it, you can make things work. So you have to be innovative. And I think that that's what the youth is. There's a lot of young leaders out there that are doing a really good job, not just in Colorado, but nationwide. There's a lot of people that are doing a lot of good work. And the GOP is discouraging that because it's a threat to their power.
Yes,
You're
indeed.
right.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Establishment candidates, yeah. This constant
So do you
infighting.
think having Bo Flores as vice president of the Republican Party here in town will help spur a movement?
Well, I love Bo, and Bo knows how to win elections. So, yes,
Absolutely,
Yep.
he'll do a phenomenal job. I have nothing but praise for the man.
yeah.
Excellent.
Mr. Calm over here.
Yeah, I know. We're just sitting over here jumping up and down, and he just sits back and he's easy.
Well, I don't have any more questions for you guys unless there's anything that you want to add.
Specifically, yes.
I don't.
I think that's it. Honestly, I think I've covered everything I want to say.
The,
Okay?
the meet and greet or the legislative breakdown with Janice Rich.
Yep,
and
that's next week. You know, you guys are welcome to come to that.
Okay, so where is it now and what time?
Houston Hall 204 at 5 p.m. on November 20th, which is
And-
next Thursday.
And where do we
Alright.
park? That
Oh,
is the
that's
biggest
always
thing
a
with Mesa.
challenge.
Yeah, that's the challenge for us too. as
There is
students.
a pay to park lot right next to Houston Hall off of North Ave. That's the best one to go to if you don't want to get a ticket.
And Houston Hall is the one off of 11th, and
It's
it's
12th and North right there. So
12th and
one
North.
right on the corner. You go in the door and it's the first lecture hall and you go up the stairs to the left. Other than that, you know, just encourage you guys and your viewers to follow what we're doing on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff.
Well, share it on our website.
Absolutely.
Too.
It'd be
I mean,
awesome.
we will definitely. Maybe you do a little script of one of your table discussions.
Sure.
We can do little segments of that too.
Yes.
What
Awesome.
what's being discussed and
for sure. No,
Yeah,
happy
and
to-
our tabling is always great. I mean, we have 20 people show up to do tabling.
and
with us.
every week we crush records in terms
Yep.
of like responses, physical responses, and conversations had. Every week it's
Excellent.
been better and better.
Yep.
well, I can see where that would be. I would go. I mean, I would,
Yeah,
if I were a student, I would be interested in.
I
that.
would like to hear myself what you guys have to say in the discussions, because to me, I can always learn something new.
Yeah, I learn something new every week about what you know, how somebody else thinks about the topic.
Exactly.
And even, I think it's nice that people want to come up now, especially after in the past when people have been confrontational and aggressive when they're tabling, and at other campuses too. There's all sorts of stories about people getting, you know, aggressive and violent and things like that.
Doxed online.
You know, people being
Beat with hockey
doxxed and
sticks.
beaten up and all these kinds of
Oh.
things, and we're, you know, being nice to people that come up, and we're being welcoming, and we're not, you know, we don't see somebody with blue hair and you're not yelling at them for you know, being a liberal or
Yeah,
something.
you're not praying at them and splashing them with holy water.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not grabbing a water balloon.
Literally something that happened last year.
Yeah. So
Huh.
Wow.
Huh. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for being on.
Yes.
You've been watching Mesa County Compass. This is the facts as we know them, the truth as we see it. You decide.
Thank you guys.
Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
you coming
Thanks for
very
having
much.
us.
You're welcome.
It's been
You have to
amazing.
come on again.